So here we are back at it. On to step 23 of learn intermediate algorithm thinking by building a dice game. All right. So if the rolls limit has not been reached, then the user can still roll the dice in that round. Okay. We're going to add an else clause below our if statement. And inside the else clause, we're going to increment rolls by 1, then add the roll dice function. And now we should be able to roll the dice and see 5 random die values show up on the screen. Okay. So we'll do an else right here. And we'll say inside of here, what is it? Dice, no. Rolls plus first. And then we'll come down here and call the roll dice function. Roll dice like that. All right. And so let's check it over here. Roll the dice. Okay. So we got that. The rolls number isn't going up, but we got to change that somewhere. But yeah, basically it's working. So let's check the code. Looks good. And submit it. All right, now on to step 24. So if we try to roll the dice a few times, we'll probably notice that the rolls and round count do not change. Very true. To fix this, we're going to need to update the text content for both of those values. We'll start by creating an arrow function called update stats. All right. So we'll say const update stats. We'll give this a set of empty parentheses right here, an arrow, and an empty object like that. So let's check the code. Looks good. And submit it. All right. Now we're on to step 25. So inside our update stats function, we're going to update the text content for the current round rolls text by assigning rolls to current round rolls text content. Below that, we're going to update the text content for the current round text by assigning round to the current round text content. Okay. Current round rolls text. Okay. So we're going to do that. So we'll say current round rolls text. Do we have that anywhere close by? Yes. Current round rolls text. Copy that. Text content now equals rolls. Okay. So it's going to be a number. And then after that, we're going to do current round text. So let's just take this again. Let's drop it off like this. Take out rolls. Get text content. Drop it off here. And then we'll say this is going to equal round. Like that. All right, so let's do this thing again. Rolls. It still didn't work. Did it work here? Yeah, I did. And submit it. All right, now we're on to step 26. So to see the round and rolls values update on the screen, we're going to call our update stats function inside the else. Oh, yeah. We didn't do anything. We're going to call the update stats function inside the else clause of the roll dice button event listener. And now we should be able to see, now we should be able to roll the dice a few times and see the values update. All right, so we're calling this inside the else clause of the roll dice event listener. So right here inside of this else, we'll do update stats like that. Now let's try it one more time. Roll the dice, rolls 1, 2, 3. Looks good. We haven't done any of these, so we're not going to bother with it. We haven't done any of this stuff, so we're not going to bother with it. All right, so let's check the code. Looks good. And submit it. Pardon me. So now we're on to step 27. So each time we roll the dice, we could end up with a 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, full house, straight, or random combination of numbers. I think that it's always going to be a random combination of numbers, but regardless, based on the outcome, we can make a selection and add points to our score. We're going to start by creating an arrow function called update radio option that takes option node and score as parameters. Okay. So we'll do that and we'll say const update radio option now equals a set of parentheses. We'll have option node and score as parameters. All right. And then we'll have the arrow and the empty object like that. All right. So let's check the code. Looks good. And submit it. All right. Now we're on to step 28. Almost fell back in my chair. So to enable the radio buttons, we should set the disabled property on score inputs at node option to false. Score inputs at node option. Score inputs. What was that? I forgot. Score inputs. Okay, we got this. I guess it's these. Okay, so let's do that. So we'll say score inputs at option node now equals false. Set the disabled, pardon me. Dot disabled. All right, equals false. So score inputs, I think that's going to make a node list. I think this, okay, yeah, this makes a node list. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Let's do query selector all while we're at it anyway. Query selector all, boom. Returns a static node list. Okay, so it's a static node list. And if from a long time ago when we went over node lists are actually like objects. So this is the bracket notation for an object. So it's this object property dot disabled, this key, this object value dot disabled. Okay. And so let's check the code. Looks good and submit it. All right. Now we're on to step 29. So next we're going to need to update the radio button's value to the current score. Okay. So we will say the radio button's value. So score input option node. Let's grab this and say dot value. Let's move it over one and say dot. Whoa. Go to the end and say dot value. All right. And now it's going to equal score. Let's see if this works. All right, good. And submit it. All right. Now we're on to step 30. So to display the current score, we're going to update the text content for the span element next to the radio button to be able to... Okay, let me read this again. So to display the current score, we're going to update the text content for the span element next to the radio button to be the following template literal. All right, so we'll have a template literal with comma. Is there a space there? Comma. Let's put a space. It doesn't look like a space. So just comma score equals, and then we'll have the embedded expression of score. Okay, so we'll do that. Update the text content for the span element next to the radio button to be the following template literal. So do we do score inputs option node space span or dot span? Let's go look at the HTML to see what this looks like. All right. What are we in? Options, score inputs. Okay, let's look for score inputs. Score option. Score option. Okay, label for full house. Input. Okay, score. Hold on. All right, score inputs at option node. Score inputs. And score inputs is going to be... Oh my goodness, this is hard to look at, isn't it? Let's take the preview out of here. Okay, so the score inputs is this. So it's going to be score span. Okay, score spans. Let's do that. Let's bring back the preview. and come back to here. And we'll just say score spans. Score spans or span? Spans. Score spans at option node. Span element equals dot text content. Pardon me. Dot text content now equals, and then we'll have a template literal comma. Score equals, and then we'll have the embedded expression, and we'll do score like that. Check the code. Nope. Well, we got the score spans option node part right. Text content, we got that part right. What we didn't get was the template literal. Is there a space? Okay, it's the space that got me. Yay! All right. So that doesn't look like a space. Does that look like a space to you? That doesn't look like a space. But at the same time, what are we supposed to do? Get rid of the preview. It doesn't extend that at all. So, you know, whatever. And submit it. Okay, now we're on to step 31. So to test out selecting a radio button option, we're going to call the update radio option function and pass in the numbers 0 and 10 for the arguments. What's going on, Callahan? You doing all right today? So we're going to roll the dice again, and we should see that the first radio button is enabled and displays a current score of 10. Okay, let's try it again. Let's read it again. So to test out selecting a radio button option, we're going to call the update radio option function and pass in the numbers 0 and 10 for the arguments. We're going to roll the dice again, and we should see that the first radio button is enabled and displays the current score of 10. Okay. So let's do that. We'll say update radio option. We'll pass in the numbers 0 and 10. 0, comma 10. Okay, update radio option. Where did we do that? Okay, here. Option node 1, which would be 4 of a kind, right? Score 10. No, well, hold on. We're going to do this. What did you want us to do? Roll the dice again. Okay, yes, yeah, it did it. Except for it's 1. So, no. It's 0. So 0 was, yeah, it was this one. Okay, whatever. All right, so 0 and 10. So 0 is this one, and the score is 10. Okay, cool. And submit it. All right, now on to step 32. So now that we have verified the update radio option function, pardon me, now that we have verified that the update radio option function works, we're going to remove the function call from our else clause. Okay. See ya. Check it, looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 33. So if I roll the dice and, holy, hold on. So if we roll the dice and get a 3 of a kind or 4 of a kind, then we can get a score totaling the sum of all 5 dice values. Okay. For the next few steps, we're going to build out an algorithm that tracks any duplicates found in the dice value R and displays a score next to the first 2 radio buttons. Why do we need a duplicate? Oh, for 3 of a kind and 4 of a kind. Okay, cool. All right, so we'll start by creating an arrow function called get highest duplicates that has a parameter called R. Let's do that. Pardon me. So we'll say const get highest duplicates equals R, and then we'll have the arrow, and then we'll have the, what is that? Empty object right there. Let's check the code. Looks good, and submit it. All right, now on to step 34. So to detect if a roll result is a 3 of a kind or a 4 of a kind, we're going to need to count the number of occurrences for each unique number in the R, okay? So inside our get highest duplicates function, we're going to create a const variable called counts. and assign it an empty object. Okay, so we're going to count up the highest one inside of this count object. Okay, so let's do that. We'll say const. Should it be const? Okay, const counts equals an empty object like that. So let's check the code. Looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 35. So below our counts variable, we'll create a for of loop that will iterate through the R, okay? And the variable name for the for of loop should be called num. Okay, so we'll say for const num of R, like this, and then we'll do that. Let's check the code. Looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 36. So for each iteration in the R array, we're going to need to check if the current number exists in the counts object. Okay, so we're going to check to see if it exists already in the counts. So inside of our for of loop, we're going to add an if statement to check if the num key exists in the counts object. If so, we're going to increment the value of counts num by 1. And then below our if statement, we're going to include an else clause that assigns 1 to counts at num for the first occurrence of that number in the counts object. Okay. Okay, so let's do that. I forgot how to find the keys. Find key. Let's put key there, right there, and let's see if we can process of elimination this. Object.keys, I think that's what it was. All right. So inside our for loop, we'll have the if statement. And we'll do object.keys, object.keys, num. Okay. Hopefully that's right. Let's go look at object.keys because I forgot. Static method that returns an array of an object's. No, that can't be it. That can't be it. That can't be it. That can't be it. If the num keys, so do we, what we do, would we do a sum? No. Will we do an r.sum object.keys num? Let's try that. No, that's stupid too. Let's ask the expert. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'm going to throw this up on there on the screen real quick. We're going to go ask the expert. Chat GPT. Open this up. Let's close this thing now. Since I'm here. I don't like sharing my secret AI search prompts. Anyway, so what we're going to do here is we're going to ask it, how would we do this? How would we check if the num key exists in it? How do we check if a key exists in an object? How do we check if a key exists in an object in JavaScript? Boom. In? No, we haven't used in. Has own property? Yes, that's what we would do. Object.has own property. So we would say counts.has own property, has own property num. Okay, so that's what we would do. And then If so, increment the value of counts at num by 1. Counts at num plus plus. And then we'll cap that off with a semicolon. Below our if statement, we'll do an else clause that assigns 1 to counts.num. Okay, so we'll say else counts at num equals 1. Hopefully that works. Nope. Come on now. We didn't have to go through all that at all. Okay. No, what? Counts at num. Oh, take this one off. Okay. My bad. Making it a little more dramatic than it needed to be. Okay, so that's how we do it. Counts at num. Of course that's how it's done. What was I even thinking? Whatever. And submit it. All right, now we're on to step 37. So the next step is to keep track of when a particular number appears 3 or 4 times within the R. Okay, we're going to use let to create a highest count variable and assign it the value of 0. Okay. Dummy. We could have just said obj at key. Dummy. Anyway, did it even say that? Was that even an option? No, it was not. It wasn't. Come on. Anyway, so yeah, let's do that. So the next step is to keep track of when a particular number appears 3 or 4 times within the R. The thing about giving constructive criticism to ChatGPT is it doesn't have feelings to feel bad. It's just, oh, you're right. Come on now. Okay, use let to create a highest count variable and assign it the value of 0. All right, so we'll say that. Let highest count equals 0. All right, so let's check the code. Looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 38. So next we're going to create another for of loop that loops through the R. The name of the variable, the variable name for the for of loop should be called num again. Okay, so we'll do a for let num, const num of R, and then we'll do this. Boom. Where did we do this at? Okay, so we have this right here. Why are we doing 2 for loops? I don't know. We'll see in a minute. All right, looks good, and submit it. So now we're on to step 39. So for each iteration of the loop, we're going to need to get the current duplicate count for each number in the R. We'll create a const variable called count and assign it the value of const at num. So we'll say const, back it up. Const counts, yes, equals counts at num. Okay. Count. Okay, there's a lot of counting going on. So let's check the code. Looks good, and submit it. All right, now on to step 40. So to detect, if the dice roll produced a 3 of a kind, we will need to create an if statement to check if the current count is greater than or equal to 3 and greater than the current highest count. If so, we're going to assign count to the highest count variable. Okay. So we'll say if current count. So count, no, num. What? Hold on. If count, hold on. So if count is greater than or equal to 3. Okay, so let's do that. Greater than or equal to 3. What we'll do, if so, we'll assign count to the highest count. So we'll say highest count equals count. Let's see. Check it. Okay. That's not greater than by any stretch. What am I doing? Greater than or equal to 3. Boom. Let's try. Okay, now what's wrong? Okay, yes, there is an and in there. Okay, let me read this one more time. So to detect if the dice roll produced a 3 of a kind, we will need to create an if statement to check if the current count is greater than or equal to 3 and greater than the current highest count. So, and pretend, I'm going to just pretend I'm not looking at this, because I'm not. I'm looking at this. And count is greater than the highest count. Highest count. Okay, yeah. Check it and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 41. I keep messing this first part up. So to detect if the dice roll produced a 4 of a kind, we will need to create an if statement to check if the current count is greater than or equal to 4 and greater than the current highest count. If so, we'll assign count to the highest count variable. Okay. So what? Oh, so we're inside the if statement, and we're going to do what we just did in this if statement. So let's take from 61 to the end of 58, copy that. No, we're not doing that at all. So we're doing a separate if statement? Okay, let's take 61 to the end of 58, copy that, and let's drop it here at the end of 61, and let's change this to 4. Check it, looks good, and submit it. All right. Now we're on to step 42. So if the user rolls a 3 of a kind or 4 of a kind, then they will receive a score totaling the sum of all 5 dice values. We're going to use the reduce method on dice value R. Dice value R. Where's that? This one. And we're filling that up with... How are we filling that up? Oh, right here in the roll dice. Okay. So we'll do a reduce method on the dice value R array. For the callback function, we're going to use A and B as parameters. Okay. And within the callback function, we'll return the sum of A and B. And for the initial value, we'll use 0. And finally, we'll assign the entire result to a const variable called sum of dice. Pretty sure this is a different person that's been doing, that's from the other people that have been doing this stuff so far. It just feels different. All right, plus the A and B, usually they do R and L. So yeah, let's do this. So we're going to say reduce. No, what am I doing? Dice values R dot reduce. We'll have A comma B as the parameters. We'll have the arrow. We'll say A plus B. And then we'll do the initial value of 0, right? So if you forgot about the reduce method because they haven't really gone over it too much, let's go over here, reduce. It's very important to understand how this works. And I'll go over it again just so you can get it if you don't get it. So the reduce method of array instances executes a user supply reducer callback function on each element of the array in order, passing in the return value from the calculation on the preceding element. So basically, okay, and the final result of running the reducer across all elements of the array is a single value. Okay? So the first time that the callback is run, there is no return value of the previous calculation. So if supplied, an initial value may be used in its place. In our case, we're going to be using 0. All right? Otherwise, the array element at index 0 is used as the initial value, and iteration starts from the next element, which is 1 instead of 0, right? So if we have the initial value 0, and we have an array like this, and we're doing the reducer, so accumulator and current value is the same as A and B in ours, okay? So A would be the accumulator, and B would be current value. So if we say A plus B, we're going to start off with the initial value 0, and that's going to be what the accumulator is. And then the current value is going to be 1. Then we're going to go to the next one in the array, and the accumulator is 1 now because we added 1 to it, and then we're going to add the current value, which is 2. So now the accumulator is 3. So when we get to the next one, it's going to be 3 plus 3, which will be 6. And then we'll get to the next one. Accumulator is now 6 plus 4, and that's going to be 10. And so the output's going to be 10. And in our case, it's going to be whatever it's going to be according to what these numbers are. Okay, so it's going to be 0 plus this number, then plus this number, and then plus this number, and then plus this number, plus this number. And it's going to add them all up. And that's just what this one does. So let's check the code. Come on. Come on now. Okay, and finally we'll assign the entire result to a const value called sum of all dice. Okay. And then we'll say const sum of all dice equals this. Come on. Check it, looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 43. 2 left. And then that's it for the next 2 days. All right. If the highest number of duplicates is 4 or more, then we will want to enable the radio button for the 4 of a kind option and display the score next to it. So we're going to add an if statement that checks if highest count is greater than or equal to 4. If so, we're going to call the update radio option and pass in the number 1 and sum of all dice for the arguments. Okay. So we'll say if. Where are we? We're still inside of get highest duplicates. So let's tab this over one. So if, and we will say if highest count is greater than or equal to 4, and what we're going to do is call the update radio option. Let's go look at that again. Update radio option. This one here. So we're going to have option node and score. So we'll call update radio option. We should have took it from up there, but didn't. And we're going to say 1, and then the score is going to be sum of all dice. So sum of all dice, which will be this right here, which is this reduce method. Okay. Well, let's cap that off with a semicolon. Check the code. Come on now. We should call the update radio option. Update radio option. Radio, not ratio. Come on now. Check it, looks good, and submit it. All right, now on to step 44. So if the highest number of duplicates is 3 or more, then we want to enable the radio button for the 3 of a kind option and display the score next to it. We're going to add an if statement that checks if highest count is greater than or equal to 3. I don't know why it's not just equal to 3, because if it's 4 or more, it's going to do this one, right? Well, whatever. So if so, I guess it's because greater than or equal to is fewer keystrokes than triple equals 3. I guess that's why. So if so, we're going to call the update radio option and pass in the number 0 and sum of all dice, okay? So this is 0 and this is 1. So we'll do that. We'll say if highest count is greater than or equal to, we could have just taken it from up there, but we didn't. 3, trust me, I'm not trying to extend this live session out at all. We'll call update radio. We're just going to take this. Better late than never. All right, drop this off. Bring this back, change this to a 0, and that should be what they want. So let's check the code. Looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 45. So that's it for now. We're going to come back on Sunday and do 45 through 66 and then 67 through the last one. I think it's like 87 or something like that. Pretty sure it's 87. Unless they add more, which they could. But anyway, regardless of that, of those facts, we're gonna cut it for now. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good weekend, and we'll see you next time.